Welcome to another episode of Positive Solutions for Life. This is Peggy Meyer. Today's guest is Dan Bowling. Dan is the founder and president of the Genesis Company, award-winning global commercialization firm. Under Dan's leadership, Genesis has redefined success by prioritizing service to people over profit, by feeding over 1 million children, rescuing girls from trafficking, and supporting kids impacted by abuse. A former athlete who overcame paralysis as a child, Dan left a thriving career to pursue a mission-driven path. He's now on a bold mission to impact 1 billion children in his lifetime. So welcome to the podcast, Dan.
Thank you. No, it's an honor to be here. It's exciting because it's my favorite topic as well, right? I think there's nothing more important for the long-term, viability and success of us as humans and then our business and our relationship than our mindset and what we choose to believe. So this is a fun topic for me, Peggy.
Awesome. I am curious and I'm excited for our conversation. So with that, can you please start by just sharing just a little bit more about you, your journey, and how it has led to where you are today?
Yeah, great. Well, I'll try to summarize, 42 years here as quick as I
And
quick as I can. But as you alluded to, I run one of the most successful and largest like global agencies and scaling consumer product brands. So we help entrepreneurs grow on direct to consumer, Amazon, maybe in like Target or Walmart. So
Mhm.
if they have a brand that people use, we help them grow. I think we have like 100 and some brands, like at Target, for example, and we'll manage like $400 million in sales. So.
Oh,
Um, so that's what I do. How I got here is a longer spiel, but that's one of the things I'd love to just talk about a little bit and some of the learnings along the way.
yeah, please do dive in wherever you want to go and where do you want to start, so we can get to know just a little bit more about your path and,
Sure.
the triumphs and the tribulations that may have happened along the way.
Yeah, I mean, the good news is, as a human being, there's multiple things that we all share in common,
Mhm.
and that's we've had bad things, tough things happen to us,
Mhm.
So, for me, for example, like I was paralyzed as a kid, which you alluded to in my bio. I lost my father when I was 12, so I've had these things happen, and I think at a really young age, as I reflect back now, I
Mhm.
kind of made the decision of like where I can help it. I want to be in control of my life, and
Mhm.
at some level you say that and I'm smiling because do we really have control? It seems to be an illusion. But as much as I thought I could grab it, that was a decision I made early on. It was like, if I'm going to get hurt, it's going to be me, leading the way in this thing. So,
Yeah. 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 I mean, I feel like it is hard to really grasp that control aspect because
mhm,
really I believe we can only control our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, our actions. But we really feel like we can control a lot of other things,
that's
our
right.
kids, our, people around us, the events of the world,
Hmm.
but we don't have that. Like, how did, you came to it at a young age. Like, some people just are magically gifted with that, probably with their experiences. But how do you see others kind of like where did they grasp that mindset that I want to be in control?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think, for me, that was like probably psychologically rooted as a young kid. It didn't really manifest until out of college in my first career. I worked for a big company called 3M, which I loved. And I'm there working there, and I got all these ideas and things I want to do. And like they moved so slow. Like legal wouldn't sign off on it, or marketing wouldn't sign off on it. So there was some like career things like that
Yeah.
kind of doubled down on like some of the childhood stuff where it's like I want to be in control. Where
Hmm.
then I went and joined this company where it's like we're a small company. There was a path to ownership if I did my job correctly, which I own the company now. So it's like this is what I want to do. I want to lead a team and
Hmm.
I want to grow a business. I want to serve others. And if we're gonna fail, it's because I made the absolute wrong decision. And then I know who to blame, right? So it's like
Hmm.
I want control. So I think that's kind of how I got here.
Hmm.
I think to answer your question, which is such a great question, and at some point in your life, you have to ask yourself this question, and it's: Is the world working for you, or is it working against you? And I think that's one of the most important questions you can ask yourself. And if you choose the wrong answer, which I will tell you the wrong answer is the world's working against me,
Right.
then everything's always going to be working against you.
Hmm.
And I made the decision a long time ago, like, no, the world's working for me. And I kind of discovered that along the way. Like, for example, I was paralyzed as a kid, but I also went on to set like multiple state records in track.
Yeah.
So you look at that experience, which was when you're in high school and everybody struggles in high school, but if you're on the sports team and you're winning, like it was probably a little bit easier for me to make friends and things like
Mhm.
that. So like that experience was a huge blessing.
Mhm.
Um, that I still capitalize on today just from the network and friends and that whole experience.
Mhm.
Um, but there's zero doubt in my mind that I would have had that experience if I wouldn't have been paralyzed.
Yeah.
Um, because you hear it all the time, like you don't know what you have till you lose it.
Mhm.
Like when you're a kid and you can't even walk, like as soon as I could run, it was my favorite thing to do. I was always running. I loved running. I hate it now that I'm older, but I loved running. So
Huh.
like that whole experience just taught me like, how
Right.
lucky I was to be able to run. So during track practice, everybody's angry. We got to run 30 times around the track. And I'm like, this is great. I can run. Yeah.
Like,
So
you don't understand. Like I did, there was a time where I couldn't do this,
totally.
but that is totally true because, you know, there are different people that could have had that experience and their life be totally different because they kind of took on the world is against me kind of
Right.
attitude. I don't want to go down that path, but that's a dark, like dreary, not very, enlightening path. And I think we've chosen that sometimes. There's been times where we were like, oh crap, this is happening, to me,
Yep.
and I can't do anything about it. But then we stop and we say, I can do something about this. I can change the way I think about it.
That's right.
And so how do you use that to help lead people? Because that was one of your things that you're, doing in your company. You're leading these people, but you just share, I believe I read somewhere like you have like 100% retention of employees.
We do, yeah. Since
That is
2010, we've got 100% employee intention rate, and it goes back to just like some concrete beliefs, like the world's working for us, right? So even when things are rough, it's like, what are the opportunities? Like our business is struggling right now because of tariffs,
Yeah.
and we've got scenarios that don't look great, but within that, our whole mindset is like, okay, how can we take advantage of this, right? And
Hmm.
there's multiple
Hmm.
silver linings. So there's always a silver lining. I've learned that 100 times over and over.
Hmm.
And therefore, that's how I lead, right?
Hmm.
Where I'm never panicked, I'm never worried. Do I
Hmm.
not sleep at night? Sometimes, but they don't know that.
Yeah.
But I show up and it's like, where can we take advantage of this, right? We
Hmm.
we can't we can't even walk today, but how will that help us sprint later type of
Hmm.
mentality.
Yeah.
So it really starts with that mindset.
Hmm.
Um, the other thing that I hold as a core value or a truth is that people want to be part of a larger story.
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
noticed this out of college when I worked at 3M. I lived in the South,
Okay.
and people are insane about college football. Like it's like more than even like church and religion.
Yep.
And I'd see people come to work on a Monday, like very sad because their team lost.
Hmm.
And I was really taken back about how affected they were. And I'm into sports. Like I would prefer my teams to win, but it never completely changed my Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, you're not even on the team and you're that distraught. And it goes back to something I think is very true. And that's what people just want to be part of that larger story. They feel like they're in
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
community or on that team. So what we try to do within our business is when people show up, allow that opportunity. So we give a large percentage of our profits away to feed children or to save girls from human trafficking,
Hmm.
with the idea here of when you come in and you check off your to-do list, like you're changing the world indirectly. And when you work with us and for us, like you are part of this larger story playing out. It's not
Hmm.
that you just answered an email. Like
Right.
the effect of that is a kid maybe got fed.
Yeah.
So it's all rooted in really that belief and that mindset.
Well, that's creating a really cool culture
Yeah,
of something beyond ourselves.
that's right.
And that is so powerful because sometimes we can feel we don't have the ability to impact very many people. But when we break it down to doing the task or the job that we have, how that is a ripple effect for bigger things and how that can impact something else, which can impact something else, which can impact something else, and create this huge change that we didn't see coming. So how do you implant? I mean, is there a strategy like, even for individuals? I mean, like many of us don't work for your company. Like we're sorry, like that
Yep.
would be a cool environment. How could we replicate that in our own lives?
Yeah, I think the first thing is just recognizing how powerful you actually are. And it's easier to think through this like from the negative standpoint. Like
Mhm.
how easy would it be for you to go ruin somebody's day right now?
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
It's okay. Well, the same as the opposite. It's actually just as easy. It's actually easier because nobody ever does it to go make somebody's day today. And like if you think through your life, just do this thought experience,
Mhm.
right? How many times did your best friend or your mom or somebody call you out of the blue and just say, "Hey, just want to tell you I love you," or something that simple? And
Mhm.
it's like that little thing that would take you 30 seconds would absolutely change somebody's life. And they'll probably remember it forever, which is incredible considering like how many things you could remember.
Mhm.
So I just think it's one of those things that we're way more powerful
Mhm.
than we give ourselves credit.
Yeah.
And it's just looking for that one thing. Like, what's the one single thing that you could do right now?
Yeah. I mean, it's just that one little act of kindness. I mean, we can just smile at somebody. We can, we don't
Yes.
know somebody's story, right? We
Hmm.
don't know, you know, where they've been walking, today and what they've been going through.
Yeah.
And we treat somebody like they're special, like just thinking of you. And
Yeah.
it's like doesn't take very long.
Totally. Like at the grocery store checkout, that person sees like 85, 100 people every
Yeah.
hour.
Yeah.
Just stop and be like, "Hey, how are you doing? How's the day
Right.
going?"
Right.
And smile. And it's like that alone breaks them out of that thing. So, and then I think it's very true too. Like this is biblical, but I think regardless of your beliefs, like prove me wrong on this one. To give is to receive.
Oh yeah.
What happens when you make that person's day? I can't explain the
Mhm.
psychology behind
Yep.
it. Like you feel better
Oh yeah.
and you want to do it again and you
Yeah.
want to do it again and it's just that's where momentum comes from actually in sports is actually or in life is just like this belief. It's the outcome of a belief is
Mhm.
all momentum is. So
Yeah. Yeah. And that, I mean, to give is to receive. I mean, it's that energy thing. And it's really hard to explain, but there's that sense and there's that energy that comes back to you that it's peaceful, it's powerful, it's
yeah,
positive, it's all of that. And it just, once we get a hold of that, like we've experienced it, like we often want more of it, right?
that's right.
Like we
Yeah,
don't want to feel crappy all day. I mean, nobody intends or wants to, I think,
right.
truly feel crappy all day.
No, definitely not. And I think back to your question of like, well, how do you do it?
Yeah.
And it's well, you can set an alarm on your phone. You're like 1 o'clock every day. I'm gonna do something nice.
Mhm.
But I think at a macro level, the first thing to do, it's like I talk to people about belief. We actually have this flywheel. We call it the belief flywheel, and it goes like this. And this is true for like any game plan in a sport or any maybe you have your life plan or maybe you have your business plan, but you put that belief together of like I can do X, Y, and Z. And if you believe it, which we'll get to, like, how do you believe it?
Yeah.
But once you believe it, what happens is you start to execute on that consistency, like
Mhm.
consistently doing something over and over and over because you believe it's going to come to fruition.
Mhm.
And what's beautiful about consistently doing something is there's only one outcome, and that is success. Like the raw material for success is consistency. Like
Yeah.
people talk about like oh it was a overnight success and it's like no it was a 10-year success that just got realized overnight, right?
Yeah.
Like they were consistently doing this, so you've got this strong belief that allows you to consistently execute on something,
Mhm.
and if you do that you will have some sort of success.
Mhm.
And then at that point you trust it. You're like, oh, I trust my beliefs, like I
Mhm.
am good enough, I am smart enough. And that when it happens at a macro level across the whole organization
Mhm.
or whole team, or even like we've seen this in communities,
Yeah.
that's where momentum comes from. And momentum is so powerful, but all it is the output of everybody believing, right?
Yeah.
It's like the sweat of the
Mhm.
belief or the manifestation of it. So
Right.
we talk a lot about the belief flywheel here actually at our company of like, we need to believe that we are going to be able to execute on this thing.
Yeah. Because our thoughts are so powerful. I mean, we don't realize how powerful our thoughts are. We can
Yes,
believe anything.
that's right.
We can choose that. So if we choose something that's, positive, that can make just, being consistent in what we're doing, like just totally believing that whatever I'm doing, it's for the good and something good is going to come out of it.
That's right.
The
Yeah, and
impact.
we've all had great things happen to us, and we've all had terrible things happen to us.
Mhm.
And what you'll find is the crowd that thinks the world's always working against them, you'll also find that they're always thinking about the bad things that happen to them.
Mhm.
always thinking about that. I
Mhm.
never think about some of the traumatic things I've had in my life. Now, a therapist might step in and be like, well, you need to work through that stuff. But the fact of the matter is, what I'm always looking at every day is where I actually won, or I was successful, or we hit the goal.
Mhm.
And that fuels my belief of like, well, we can do it again,
Yeah.
right? We did it once, we can do it again.
Mhm.
And so that's my advice to anybody is sit back and try to find one thing. Just remember one thing that you did a great job at.
Mhm.
And if for some reason you can't think of anything motivating, then remember this. You were, if you believe in God, you were created in
Mhm.
God's image. Therefore, you are absolutely incredibly special.
Mhm.
If you're listening to this and you're like, I don't believe in God, that's fine. You evolved over millions of years to be here, which is also insane, right?
Mhm.
Like you and your DNA have overcome,
Oh,
comets and the global freezing and like every calamity of all time, and you're still here. So like you have it in you to overcome.
yeah.
So for me, it's like, where does the belief come from? It's drawing on those past experiences. And anytime that my mind pops up something negative, I let that thought go and go back and remember the best of me, right? The
Mhm.
best of me that won this, or the best of me that did this or that was positive. And that's where you get the juice from.
Mhm.
Um, and if you're listening, right, like
Yeah.
even talking about that,
Oh,
it gets
yeah.
exciting because
Well, I
there's
know.
energy there.
I know, and there is, and I'm like, and some people have a hard time pulling it, but we can pull one or two things. And when we start doing one or two things, then we start remembering other things. And if we
Yes.
really get stuck, I ask people to ask other people around you, some of your coworkers, some of your family members, that they will, like, hey, can you tell me what's a good quality that I have? They're
Right.
going to tell you, and they're going to tell you things that you never, it's like, oh, I don't really think that about me, but they will, they'll bring it up. And then, so then go off of that and feed off of that and find another one. Cause once, yeah, once your train of thought is in a certain direction, it kind of wants to continue that. So, if we're in
Yeah.
the negative mode, we can stop it. In the positive mode, let's just keep letting it run because there's so
Totally. I
much.
think a very, very powerful tool for anybody, and this was life changing for me, was just, and I'm no expert in it, but just getting into like a little bit of understanding meditation,
Mhm.
of like stopping and realizing how many insane thoughts, or just the volume of them,
Mhm.
right, hit your brain all the time. And it's like when I first started doing that, I couldn't sit there for 30 seconds without just getting carried away. But over time, you learn, and then you can identify like the good thoughts and the bad thoughts, and
Mhm.
you train yourself like, I'm not going to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
And I think the saying is, I'll probably botch it, but it's like you can't help like if a bird lands on your head, but you can certainly help if you're going to like it from building a nest.
Yeah.
And that's how I think of like bad thoughts. Like
Mhm.
let that one go, and then go remember, the best you, because that
Yeah.
you is still inside of you.
Right. Right. You don't have to live in that zip code of those negative thoughts. You really don't. You can move.
That's right.
You're more than capable of taking yourself somewhere else. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, so in all of this, we can learn from everything. It's silver lining to everything. But how do you define success? Because sometimes it's like people are like, it's like impacting people. Some people think it's numbers, whatever society thinks is
Yeah.
successful. I mean, how do you do that with your employees as well? It's like, what is success to them?
Yeah, we're actually on a mission to try to redefine success. So we look at KPIs just like every company, right? Like EBITDA, revenue. We have to look at that. If I go out of business, like then I didn't serve anybody that works here or any of my clients or our communities. But we also look at the core metric we look at is how many people did we help, right? How many people did we serve? And when we look at like why business started in the first place, it was to help your neighbor. They needed something and you had it, so you made a trade.
Mhm.
That's all business is we're trying to solve other people's problems.
Mhm.
So we keep that as like the number one thing of why we're here. We're here to help other people.
Mhm.
And then when you look at like, oh, you guys are very philanthropic. Well, we are, but it's not like it's a different thing that we do. Like our work is philanthropic. Like I'm going
Mhm.
to help my
Mhm.
clients grow and be profitable. Like I'm going to sell, I'm going to like, I'm helping their problem.
Right.
And that's what my team is aligned on. And then we also, do the same thing by helping communities, kids in our community, but it's all the same thing. Like what
Right.
problems can we solve either with our institutional knowledge or the money we get from our institutional knowledge?
Hmm. Yeah, because success is really, what you're talking about is just impacting others, helping others.
Yep.
And if we take that to ourselves, we can go back to, okay, how can I help somebody? Well, I can just smile. I can do one act of kindness
Yeah.
and you can be successful that day.
hmm Yeah, I think a good thought exercise too is like when you get stuck thinking about that terrible thing that happened to you. Why was I paralyzed? Well, I don't know. But within that, I am now like uniquely capable among like the 0.00001% of people in the world to go help somebody else who's paralyzed.
Mhm.
Right? So it's like I had a form of polio called French polio. It's called Guillain-Barré syndrome. There's a couple kids across the country that have it. Like I'm the most qualified human being in the world now to go tell them that they're going to be okay.
Mhm.
Like, how cool is that? Or if
Yeah.
you lost your father at a young age, it's like, well, I'm qualified to go help other people. So I think that's another thing, Peggy, for people to
Mhm.
keep in mind of like, how do I use something negative and turn it into something amazing? It's like, well,
Mhm.
look at your qualifications now.
Yeah.
Uh, so
What have you gone through that you survived and you're thriving that somebody else might also be going through
that's right.
and you
Mhm.
can help them.
That's right.
You can
Yeah, I
always
think
help
the other mistake I see people make when they try to put together a business plan or they want to lose 20 pounds or they want to do this or that is like they start with this massive plan.
them.
And it's like just do the minimal thing you can. You want to be
Mhm.
a better person? 3 times a week at 1 o'clock, send buddy a text. Like make it very easy. Like you
Mhm.
wanna you wanna get in shape, make a goal to walk up and down the stairs once a day or around the block or do one push-up, right?
Yep.
Like one
Yep.
push-up. I've got a buddy who does like 1,000 push-ups a week. I'm like, how did you do that? He's like, I just started one day just trying to do one. And since I was there, I did three. And then the next day I did seven. So I think there's things like that where it's like just start very, very small.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I'd say the other piece of advice is remember this and write it on your wall. It's a Steve Jobs quote of everything you see, everything that was created that you see was done by somebody no better than you.
Yeah.
You know, you've got it in you.
Yeah. We're all kind of the same built, right?
That's right.
We can choose our thoughts and we're no more successful than anybody else. It depends on how we define it. If we
Yep.
define success as very limited, it has to make X amount of dollars or, impact this many people or whatever, then we're going to feel like we're never going to get there. But if we feel like success is just, hey, doing this one small thing to make myself better, doing this one thing to improve somebody else's, outlook or, their life in some small way, check it off.
That's right.
And that
Yeah.
you do that every day and you build it. And it becomes like, it's that addictive, good feeling.
hmm
You want to feel that.
Totally. Yeah. And I think in our country specifically, like we are so blessed to live here. I know we got tons of problems, but overall, like there's no cap on
Mhm.
anything, right? It's an infinite amount of anything that you can have. Like there's no law outside of like being a monopoly,
Mhm.
but there's no law on how big your company can be. There's no law on how much money that you can make. Just because there's a lot of billionaires out there doesn't mean they took all the money. Like there's infinite enough of everything for
Mhm.
you to have as big of whatever, whether it's money, whether it's a company, whether
Mhm.
it's good deeds you do in a day. Like this is the only country in the world where there's no laws, there's no ceilings, there's no end to like your how physically fit you could get or how your mental acuity. So I think that's really exciting too. Is like we just live in a country where, thank God, there are no rules that say you can't do something.
Mhm.
You absolutely can. And if you're listening to this and you're like, well, what about this, this, and this? It's not true. It's like, yeah, that person might have had that issue, but at a macro, I can point to a million other people that were born in
Mhm.
that area at that time that still became whatever
Yep.
they wanted to become.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. And it is. It is very real that we can do whatever we want to do, and we have that
mhm,
freedom to do it. Mindset. Just take it and run with
that's
it.
right.
The good stuff.
Yeah, and I think, back to like I believe we were created, by a loving God.
Mhm.
Therefore, there's some raw material in us that's special. But even if you believe in the evolution path, you kind of get hopefully to that same result of like, this
Yeah.
is pretty special.
Yeah.
But within that, I believe that we're here for a specific reason. Each one of us has a role to play. And I think if you can, I would say figure out what that is for you. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's a specific role at a specific company, but it's a type of job, most likely, or it's a type of work that you're called to do.
Mhm.
And living out of that, once you find that, I feel like there's real freedom
Mhm.
because you know you're doing the things that you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And then it's a little bit easier, like when the wave comes, to figure out how to ride it versus drown, because you're like, well, I know that I'm supposed to be doing what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And this might be, I don't know, but I feel like some people just don't know how to find that or to like, what am I really supposed to do? Like, is this what I'm supposed to do? Is this my purpose? Is this my path? I mean, do you feel like people are questioning that? And then do you have any like guidance?
yeah, no, they are, but I also probably challenge them. They're not trying to figure it out.
Mhm.
So a couple ways that you could try. A, I would start meditating, figure out like what thoughts are you allowing in your brain.
Mhm.
Stop thinking of all the negative stuff and start thinking of the positive. So that's one thing. Another thing would be journal. Get
Mhm.
your thoughts out.
Yep.
Because the fact of the matter is, all of your answers you already have inside of you. You just got to draw them out.
Mhm.
The third thing is stop with all the entertainment. It's like people can't go a second
Yeah.
without being entertained. They can't even sit for 5 minutes by themselves and think. So
Mhm.
go for a walk out in the woods or something like that.
Yeah.
But the other piece on the entertainment is like shift all that to education.
Mhm.
So if you're in your car, like the only time I'll ever listen to music is like if I have to get like pumped up for something. Like I know I'm low energy and I'm about to get home and the kids are going to want to climb on dad. So it's like
Yeah.
maybe I'll listen to some music really quick. But I would put that as like entertainment.
Mhm.
Otherwise, everything's all about education. Like podcasts all
Mhm.
the time,
Yeah.
right? Audiobooks all the time. You're
Mhm.
trying to go to sleep, always education, education, education. And what's going to happen is you're going to find the podcasts like this one. You're going to find the books
Mhm.
that resonate with you.
Mhm.
And if they don't
There's
finish
other
the book,
ones.
move to the next one. Don't
Yeah.
like the podcast, move to the next one. But you will find what
Mhm.
speaks to you. And within that, you'll kind of self-discover like, oh, this is a topic that I really love. And
Yeah.
once you find that, you're on your path. It's like, oh, I love listening about digital marketing podcasts and reading digital marketing books. It's like, okay, sounds like maybe that's a path you should go down. Go
Mhm.
be an expert there.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we all have that draw, we have
Yes.
something that, we really enjoy, we really like that we're,
Mhm.
end up being like really passionate about. We like to talk about it. We like to, like you said, educate ourselves about it. And so we all have that. We just need to go find it. I mean, meditate, people are scared, like you mentioned, alluded to before, is like people are, I think, scared of doing that, but it's really just trying to like just quiet just for a minute,
Mhm.
just be quiet for a minute. We don't give ourselves that opportunity to just be quiet.
That's right.
That entertainment piece is like, oh, we have to constantly be, something at us. And it's like, no, you know what? That's overload. That's
That's
what
right. Everybody's just overloaded.
just,
And they're stressed out because they're overloaded, and then they just go watch more movies and stuff. So, and meditation too, like what's beautiful about it is you can't fail.
yeah, yeah.
Just doing it is all that you're supposed to do, and recognize like, oh my God, I can't slow my thoughts down. That is meditating. You finally recognized, what's happening. And then over time, you'll be able to slow the thoughts down and
Yeah.
then learn what you shouldn't keep thinking about. But
Right. And I think the journaling piece, I know like people are like, oh, I don't want to journal. It's like, I think people are afraid of what they're going to write.
yeah, that could be.
It's amazing when you dump your thoughts, like,
Hmm.
and then you might look at them later. You don't have to keep these things on paper for somebody else to see.
Totally.
You really
Yeah.
don't. I mean, the whole point of it is just to get them out. So
Yeah. Well, I think there's
dump your
power
thoughts
in that. And then you throw it away if you want
and just
to.
throw it away, destroy it, whatever, because
Yeah.
it's just for you. It's to clear. And if you need to do that before you meditate, more
Yeah.
power to you.
And then within that, you realize whatever awful thing that was that you're scared of, that like you're still here
Yeah.
and
You,
you've got friends,
yeah.
and, like you're okay.
Yeah.
Um, I wouldn't wish it upon you again. That sucked. Be okay. I think it's Tim Ferriss that has this exercise or like once a year. I don't know if he does anymore,
Yeah.
but he'll like try to figure out like what's his biggest fear.
Yeah.
And for him, it was like being homeless and like sleeping out in the street. So what he does is once a year, he goes out and sleeps in the street and he's fine. Now it's a day versus like his life. So I get that.
Yeah.
But the fact is what he realizes like my biggest fear, I can it, wouldn't kill me.
You
I'd be,
survived it.
I'd make it work.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool, type of exercise.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of, every bad day you've had, you survived it.
That's
You're still
right.
here.
Yeah.
You're still going, so you can survive another one.
Yeah.
So
I remember when we had our second child and like he didn't sleep very well. I was getting like 3, 4 hours of intermittent sleep, and I'm showing up to work just an absolute disaster and was complaining about it all the time. And somebody hit me, and they not hit me, but like hit me with the
yeah.
idea of like they said, "Hey, being a dad is hard, but it's been done billions of times." And just hit me of like, okay, I'll be fine. You know what I mean? Billions and billions of people have been a dad before, and they made it. And here I am, I made it. So I thought that was really good advice, a little tough love, if you will.
Yeah. Well, sometimes we do have to get, hit by something hard that's just sincere reality.
Yeah.
Like other people have been through this.
Hmm.
You're not the only one, you
Yeah.
know.
I think that there's a trend out there too that some people kind of roll their eyes at, and some people are all in on it, but around like cold plunging and
Yeah.
cold showers. I also recommend that. You don't have to do the cold plunge, that's a little insane, but try to finish your shower
Hmm.
with really cold water for as long as you can. First of all, it'll wake you up better than 10 cups of coffee. It's
Yep.
really good for you. But what happens is that moment where you don't want to go cold and you do it, it's a game changer right there because in that moment you learn that you can overcome. And that
Yeah.
might sound like a little ridiculous thing and there's, compared to like what life hits you.
Yeah.
But if you build that foundation of like, no, this is going to suck and I'm totally going to overcome it,
Hmm.
that is like the foundation of the belief that we're talking about
Yeah.
here, right?
Yeah.
It's like, and then
Yeah.
I carry that belief into everything of like, no, we will be fine. Matter of fact, this might be good for me.
Hmm. Yeah. And I've done that before, and it's interesting how like you want to like go just a little bit longer.
Yes.
Just to
Yep.
see a little bit longer. But there is a point where like some people like hold their breath and they can't, because it's so shockingly cold.
Right.
But if you can get to the point where you can actually breathe through it,
Yeah.
like you can actually use that in other scenarios.
Absolutely. Yeah, you want to get to the point where you can actually calmly breathe into
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that has been huge payoff for me. I've been doing that for a long time. And like even in the most insane moments at work, my heart rate really never changes because it's like I know how to breathe, I know how to
Mhm.
calm my nervous system down.
Mhm.
Therefore, I sleep better, et cetera, et cetera. So
The,
yeah.
the positive ripple effect of the things that we decide to do.
Yeah, which is like first time I did it. And even now, every time I do it, I kind of hate it, but I know how good it is for me. And I think it's just an analogy of like the toughest things in life,
Mhm.
when you view them correctly with the right mindset and view, like could also be the things that will help you the most.
Definitely. Definitely. Dan, it has been a pleasure. How do people like do anybody find you somewhere? Do you post
Sure.
anything anywhere?
Yeah, our company is called the Genesis Company. So you can find us on the internet, of course. You can email us at grow at thegenesiscompany.com. That's grow at thegenesiscompany.com. That'll come straight to me, honestly. And what's fun about what we do is we help entrepreneurs through everything, like not just like their profit and loss and their
Mhm.
marketing strategy.
Mhm.
I talked to them about cold plunging and I talked to them about health and wellness and their mindset because a company is only going to make it if their founders and their leaders make it. So
Yeah.
we talk really holistically with our clients, which is fun.
Yeah, that is awesome because yeah, the company is not if you're not healthy yourself and if your employees aren't healthy, that's going to be reflected in the job that is done. So
Totally.
we
Yep.
holistic approach. That's awesome. That's awesome. As we wrap up today, is there any last thought, quote, or something we haven't touched on that you really feel like the listeners need to hear today?
Yeah, I think just bears repeating. Like everything you see and have done was done by somebody no different than you,
Mhm.
And the proof of that is the fact that I'm on a podcast giving you advice, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I came from a tiny little nowhere town in Iowa, and the fact is, if I can do it, anyone can do it, and it really all starts with you and only you, right? You are the only limiting aspect of
Yeah.
what you can and can't be.
Yeah. You, yourself, and I,
That's right.
like me, myself, and I were the only limiting factors. So,
And that old school brain we carry around, right?
yep. So decide to choose to think differently and improve all aspects of your life. So thank you so much, Dan, for being here. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.